Help! There was an old man, 70 years old, a body worn down by years, but a heart that still refused to quit. He sat inside a small wooden cabin near the fireplace, holding a metal cup filled with warm water, as if life was still normal. But outside, nothing was normal. The storm was insane. The wind slammed into the walls like something trying to tear the world apart. And then the cabin started to shake, violently, like an earthquake, like the ground itself was warning him that he didn't belong there. He looked up at the ceiling. Fear hit him. But he didn't scream, because sometimes fear doesn't make sound. Sometimes it just widens your eyes and silences your heart. He rushed to the door and stepped outside. The snow wasn't knee-deep, it was waist-deep. Breathing felt like a fight. Every step felt like punishment. He ran to his truck, a blue pickup, his last chance. But even hope can't hold traction on ice. The vehicle slid. One wrong angle, one bad second, and then it went over the cliff. Now imagine this. You're hanging off the edge in minus 80 degrees. Nothing below you but endless darkness. Your hands are numb. Your muscles are burning, and gravity is pulling you down with no mercy. Do you know what people think in moments like that? If only I had been faster. If only I had turned back sooner. If only I wasn't alone. And then something impossible happened. Far away in the snow, a small shadow moved, tiny, shaking. A tiger cub. A tiger cub in the polar wilderness. It doesn't even make sense. But sometimes life hides miracles inside places that should only contain death. The cub was asleep against the wind when it heard something. A sound, a cry, a desperate call for help. And here's the question. Would you run away? Because the cub could have. It could have chosen survival. It could have disappeared into the storm. But it didn't. It ran through deep snow, into screaming wind, with ice slicing through the air like blades. Every breath was a threat, every step heavier than the last. And it reached the cliff. There he was, the old man, hanging, both arms stretched straight down under his own weight. No strength left. No way to pull himself up. He wasn't climbing anymore, he was simply trying not to fall. His body was already being dragged toward the abyss, and the cub looked into his eyes. And in that moment, you could see something most humans forget exists: mercy. The cub ran again, disappeared into the storm, and somehow found a rope. Dragged it back with its mouth, step by step, fighting the wind. Then it reached the cliff edge and dropped the rope down. The old man grabbed it with both hands, and the cub pulled. A tiny body with a giant will. It leaned back, dug its paws into the snow, and pulled with everything it had. And slowly, painfully, the old man came up. He collapsed onto the ground, alive. Now think about this. How often does a human get saved not by another human, but by something smaller, weaker, and braver than anyone would expect? The old man wrapped his arms around the cub. He was shaking, not only from the cold, but from shock, from gratitude, from the fact that he was still breathing. They made homes, burrowed in the snow, went underground, huddled for warmth. But the storm didn't stop, and life didn't stop testing them. One night, the cub ended up outside, motionless, unmoving, like it had passed out in the snow. The old man sealed the shelter. In his mind, he thought he was protecting them, but they were being observed by wolves from outside. And within, the old man wept. Because sometimes the worst pain isn't the cold, it's the moment you realize a decision you made might cost the life of the one who saved you. He rushed out, searching, panicking, and then he saw it. A wolf carrying the cub in its jaws. The old man dropped to his knees, hands on his head, frozen in regret. And maybe he thought the only thing that mattered now. He saved me, and I failed him. But he didn't give up. He fought, he hid, he ran, he risked everything. Eventually, they found a red pickup truck. They climbed inside, and the old man drove straight into the whiteout. The storm never abated. They arrived at a deserted town with empty streets, houses sealed by ice, A silence so profound it seemed haunted. They went into one house, and there it was, a skeleton on the ground, draped in spider webs, a reminder that this place doesn't forgive weakness. But the old man sat down and held the tiger cub in his arms. And that's when this stopped being just a survival story. Because survival isn't only about breathing. Sometimes survival is about not leaving someone behind. So let me ask you something. If you were out there, in that storm, with death all around you, would you carry someone weaker than you? Would you risk your life for them? Or would you choose yourself and walk away? Because that's what makes this story unforgettable. Even at -80 degrees, even in a world that wants you dead, a heart can still stay warm. And if that's true, then maybe hope is still alive.